Cheers.
Coming back at you, Graham and Alex.
Smarty Pints.
Coming at you. I already said coming at you, but we are really coming at you this time with this, which I think I got in the frame. So we got the Fermentasaurus here, and we got a keg.
Yeah, the Fermentasaurus, you can serve directly out of it, but our keezer is not big enough to accommodate it.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is transfer the beer from here into a nice clean and sanitized keg.
Because as you can see, this is taller than that.
It is. But we're going to do it post to post. So we're going to leave from the liquid and go into the liquid on this side. We're going to try and do kind of a counter pressure fill because this is carbonated, so we don't want it to foam up and release all that CO2. So the theory is, this is my first time doing it, so it should be fun. We're going to have this keg pressurized. Right now it's at 10 psi. So we're going to hook the CO2 up to this, link the two vessels, and then increase the psi in here to slightly above 10 to have it start filling. And then if we need to, we can utilize the pressure relief valve on this side to increase the flow rate. So let's see how this works.
Let's see how it does this. I'm going to get behind the camera for this because we don't need both of us doing this because it's a one-man thing. So,
all right, let's give her a go.
Da, 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 da.
All right, so I don't know if you can see on here, the keg is at 10 psi.
Going in.
Right,
Got it.
I'm going to unhook this. Star sand, make sure we don't have a leak on there. No, we're good. So that should be holding steady at 10 psi inside of there. I'm going to turn this down. All right, so now we're reading 5 psi on here. And then I'll hook this up to the Fermentasaurus. For those of you who don't know, both these posts at initial glance look identical, as opposed to a keg where it has in and out labeled conspicuously on there. This does not. So a good way to tell is that the posts with the little notches on them, like this here, I don't know if you can zoom in and see it. The ones with the notches are for the gas. Alright, so I'll just hook her right on it. Relieve some pressure. Alright, so I'm going to bring this PSI up slowly. You can hear it accepting the gas right now. Alright, so we are at roughly a hair under 10 psi. And I've got this little jumper here, so it's just two ball lock liquid disconnects attached to about 2 feet of 1/4 inch ID beverage tubing. So we'll hook it up to the out here. See it? It's pushing some beer into the tubing. And I don't know how this is going to work. It might shoot back in there really quickly because this should be at a higher pressure. Alright, so it's not bad. It looks like it's pretty equalized. So I'm going to turn the pressure up on this ever so slightly until we start to see some beer make its way from here into there. And there she goes.
There it goes. It's like a going down a slide.
Yeah. That's awesome.
It is awesome. It's magic.
It is magic. And then I guess we'll speed this process up for you guys at home, and we'll see how long this takes.
Mm-hmm.
Soy el Diego y soy soy un femicida porque todas se mueren cuando ven que mi ropa no combina. Yo hago música para agarrarme minas, pero solo me agarro de los postes al caminar. Me encantó conocerte, pero tengo que mear. Ella baila sola y es la hora de bailar. Todo el mundo de pie y yo tengo pie plano. No tengo plata, pero una petaca en el banano.
So we started at basically 10 psi on both of these. We slowly raised the psi on the Fermentasaurus to be greater than the pressure inside the keg. But as the transfer goes on, we're slowly building up pressure inside the keg. So we had to increase the psi heading to this to keep the transfer moving. This is rated up to 35 psi. I really don't want to test that. So right now we're at 25 psi. So instead of increasing pressure here to get the flow to go, we're going to decrease pressure here via this pressure relief valve. So I'm going to just give it a couple quick spurts and hopefully encourage the flow rate to increase a little bit. So let's see how it goes. Moving. Yeah,
Te escondiste detrás de otros peones. ¿Quién es el maricón?
that was strange, guys. I guess we found another little idiosyncrasy of this guy. The ball that has the liquid pickup tube attached to it, once it started hitting the angle on this cone, it kind of rotated a little bit, and that pickup tube was driven to the surface, so it started pulling in the what's in the airspace, the headspace, instead of just liquid. So all I did was rock it forward a little bit, and it seemed to right itself. So if you guys have that issue at home, that's I guess a workaround.
Hey, miren, Michael Jackson en la pista de baile.
Zipped. Finito. So we just finished up. Caught the last bit of the what we could pick up. Now, towards the end here, I did a lot of. I basically had to stand here and just push this guy forward. Otherwise, I was just picking up air because of what we were dealing with earlier, where that pickup tube is just hitting the bottom, and so it's forcing it kind of up on the other side of that float. So it's just picking up air. Then once you get towards the bottom, there's nothing you do, so I just disconnected it. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Yeah, getting back to this guy, now that Alex is back. What would you say, Alex? I think that the transfer was pretty simple.
Yeah, not bad.
I think in hindsight, degassing your keg while you're filling it up will make it feel a lot faster.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to go. In a perfect world, you'd get a spunding valve on here. If you don't know what that is, it's basically like a pressure relief that you can dial in to a certain PSI. So we could have had this set at 10 PSI and then put that to 12 PSI, and then this would automatically relieve pressure up to that point.
Right.
So that would be the smoothest way for doing it, but yeah, Graham is exactly right. It's a lot faster when we start manually relieving pressure on the keg versus increasing pressure on the the Fermentasaurus.
And I don't think I'm going to dock this on rating as far as it picking up the air towards the end there. I think that there's really no way of getting around that because it gets narrower at the bottom, which is causing that pickup tube to just kind of bump up at just the right angle.
Yep.
And it's an easy fix. You just kind of tilt it forward. You're not going to knock it over, I don't think.
No, it's pretty solid. Yeah, then I guess the only other knock I would give it is, I can lift this up so you guys can see it. That's about a pint's worth of beer that we'll never be able to drink if you're serving it through the top. You know, unless you just don't reopen that valve. You know, you could have just unscrewed that and dumped your trub and yeast and whatnot, and then just not let it refill with beer. But then again, all of that trub and yeast and stuff in there would have more of an opportunity to go up this pickup tube and into your keg.
That's right. And don't forget, this is only one side of, or this is the second side of what you can do with this. Because we already showed how to sample off of it. This is if you want to transfer to a keg. We were discussing while we were waiting for this thing, after we finally figured out degassing to speed it up, we were talking about, okay, what if you actually want to fill up bottles from this thing? Well, you can get, you've got a few options there. You can do the Blickman beer gun. You could, now I was thinking the bottle one. Do you think that's really an option here?
I'm not really sure. I don't have much experience with that. I don't know how it would handle that. Maybe for just, you know, I don't know, filling a growler or something to take to a party.
There.
Yeah.
I would rather do that. I'm not sure if we could do a bottle one off this because it's CO2 and I'm not sure how you would get it from the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to go that route, then I would probably recommend not carbonating in this and just letting it naturally carbonate in the bottle.
Right.
And just use it like a traditional fermenter and just, you know, bottle from it.
Always an option. All right, guys. Well, if we missed anything, if you want to know anything else about our experience with the Fermentasaurus, leave us a note or something on Facebook, on YouTube. Give us a like. You can dislike us if you like, because I know people will do it.
I would dislike it.
I would dislike it too, because, you know, I just stand here and pretend that I know stuff.
That's what I'm doing.
That's all we do. So anyways, guys, thanks for checking in with us. We'll be thinking up some new ideas for more videos.
What he said.